Distributive property part 2. And actually this has a different title once we get inside the lesson, called Simplifying Polynomial Expressions. But it really just is an extension of distributive property part 2 and combining it with stuff we've already seen. So you'll see that there's nothing really new here, just a practice and some bigger situations, I suppose. It starts with a warm-up. Determine the value in the box shown below. It says blank. There's a blank out in front of the 2x squared minus 5 there. And that supposedly comes out to 8x cubed minus 20x. And we just don't know what's in the blank there. But to give you an idea of where the blank comes from, is that there's something out here that someone's done the distributive property on. So they've multiplied it by 2x squared and multiplied it by negative 5 and ended up with 8x cubed minus 20x. Our job, figure out what goes in there. Okay, let's talk about the coefficient first. We've got to put a coefficient there where that when it multiplies by 2, I get 8. And when it multiplies by negative 5, I get negative 20. And you could just use multiplication to think that through and go, okay, what do I multiply by 2 to get 8? But the other move you could do is actually just think, okay, what's 8 divided by 2? And that's 4. And just check to make sure it's the same with the other one. Negative 20 divided by negative 5, oh, that's also 4. It must have been a 4 out there. Let's check that. 4 times 2 is 8, that's right. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. So I've taken care of the coefficient now. Now I need some number of x's out there. So whatever was out there with x got multiplied with x squared to give x cubed. And so we've got to add the exponents of same basis here. So it's something I had to add with 2 to get 3. Oh, I guess that's a 1. And you could just write 4x there. You don't have to write 4x with a little 1 there, but the 1's just thinking it through. Let's check with the last term and see if we got it right. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20, and x doesn't change because there's no other x in with the 5. Okay, so that's just a little warm-up. You'll see some of that in some of the homework where you have to think backwards. It's actually called factoring, but we won't really get too carried away with that until grade 10. Anyhow, with the weapons we have now, we can combine what we know about adding and subtracting polynomials and the distributive property. Okay, so here's what we mean by that. So you got this situation where it's 2 bracket 3x plus 1. So it's 2 in front of the 3x plus 1 bracket, but it's a 3 in front of the x minus 4 bracket. Well, each of these situations by themselves is just really distributive property part 1, the homework you already did. You take the 2 and you multiply it by 3x and you get 6x. You take the 2 and you multiply it by 1 and you get 2. Easy enough. But then you got to do it again, but with a 3 this time. So the 3 multiplies by each thing in this bracket, or each term in this bracket, and I get 3x minus 12. Now, if that part is difficult, well, you still need to do some practice on distributive property part 1. All I've done is distributive property with 2 different sets of brackets. Here's what's new in this lesson is collecting like terms from the lesson before that, where I just go, okay, 6x goes with positive 3x, or adding 3x, I get 9x, and 2 goes with subtract 12, so I get negative 10, or subtract 10. So you're just combining like terms after that. That's the whole deal. That's what this lesson's all about. It's about taking the previous lesson and combining it with the previous lesson to that. Let's try another one. This one over here. Okay, distributive property on the first set of brackets. 7x cubed times 2x squared. I get, multiply the coefficients. Add the exponents of same basis. Then 7x cubed times 5 is 35x cubed. 7 times 5 is 35. And there's no same basis to add the exponents there. Here, oh, watch out that negative. This is considered a negative 3x times 9x to the power 4. So I get negative 27. Add the exponents. And then negative 3x times this one. So now it's a negative times a negative, which is positive. So I'm going to write add 30. And if that's surprising to you, that's how it works. You know, we thought maybe this was subtract out here, but we think of it as a negative. We think that's a subtract, but we think of it as negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive. And it totally works. If instead you thought of it as a negative and a subtract, well, subtracting a negative is adding. So no matter which way you think about it, you got 2 negatives there, and you're going to get a positive. Oh, I forgot to do the x's. Okay, x times x squared, add the exponents, I get x cubed. And here's what's new in this lesson, is then you combine like terms. 14x to the power 5 minus 27x to the power 5, I get negative 13x to the 5. and then 35x cubed and 30x cubed. Those are the same terms as well. The same types of terms, they're like terms, so I can go add those together and get 65x cubed. So that's how this lesson is different than the previous one, is you might have some combining to do afterwards. One more like that with 3 brackets. I'll do it a little faster, and not to confuse you, but just to show you that once you get good at these, it just takes a little bit of practice. These questions don't have to take long. Yeah. So 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times negative 4x is negative 8x squared. Negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times 5x is negative 15x. And negative 3 times negative 1 is adding 3. X squared times 8x is 8x cubed. And x squared times negative 1 is negative x squared. And I only did that a little faster just to show that these questions don't have to take long. You know, once you get good at them, they don't have to take long. Each step along the way, I multiplied the coefficients and added the exponents of same bases. And now, combining like terms, 2x cubed and 8x cubed, I get 10x cubed, negative 8x squared, negative 3x squared, and negative 1x squared. That's negative 12x squared. And then these don't have anything to combine with them, so I don't have anything to add to those ones. Okay, so again, we did distributive property, a different number out front or a different value out front of each set of brackets, and then I collected like terms when it was over. All right, actually this is warming up for calculus. This is right on the way to grade 12 calculus. It's not as hard as a grade 12 calculus question, of course, but it's sort of setting up for the type of things we'll do in calculus. It says find a simplified expression for perimeter. And the sides here are weird, 2x and 4x plus 2. So this swimming pool on one side has length 4x plus 2, and on the other side has width 2x. If I want to find the perimeter, I got to add up all the sides. So I'm going to add up 4x plus 2 plus 2x, but perimeter means add up all the sides. So that's a 4x plus 2, and that's a 2x as well, because it's a rectangle with equal sides. So I got to do another 4x plus 2 and another 2x for those other two sides. But it said find a simplified expression. So I'm going to gather up like terms here, 4x and 2x and another 4x and another 2x. Put those all together, I get 12x, and then 2 and 2 is 4. You could also do that question using the distributive property, by the way. You could say, well, the perimeter is 2 times the 4x plus 2 plus 2 times the 2x, and handle it that way. You get 8x plus 4 plus 4x, collect like terms, and do 12x plus 4. So if you like handling it that way, if you're used to doing perimeter where you multiply each side by 2, you can handle it that way as well, but you don't have to. Then they want area. Well, area is length times width. So I'm going to use the length as 2x, and the width is 4x plus 2. And then here we go with distributive property. Multiply, and I get 8x squared. Multiply, and I get 4x. So you're just multiplying the coefficients and adding exponents of same bases. Okay? A weird length and width, I admit. But then in here they say, on the last question, they say use your find the perimeter of an area of the pool if x is 3. So through all that, you're like, why would you put x's on the side of the pool? And again, it's when you don't know the sides, what side length is going to be the right side length for a certain yard or a certain pool or a certain volume. That's where these unknowns come from. And I won't pretend this is exactly how it works when you're actually calculating volumes of pools, but it's close. And you'll see how it actually works in a similar way in later grade 12 type lessons. But here they do finally give us x equals 3. So when x equals 3, perimeter will be 12 times 3 plus 4. I've just taken that 3 and subbed it into the perimeter equation. So what do I get? 36 plus 4. I get perimeter equals 40 meters. Then they want the area. When x equals 3. Area equals 8 times 3 squared plus 4 times 3. This time I've just put the 3 into that equation, my area equation, so I got to do a little bed mass here, 8 times 9 plus 12, 72 plus 12, 84. But this time, since it's an area, we're talking about meters squared. Okay, and if you weren't sure and you wanted to check, well, you could put the x equals 3 back here and say, well, this side is 6 then, and this side is, 4 times 3 plus 2 is 14. And then you could find the perimeter and the area that way, but they asked us to use the simplified expressions to get used to doing this algebra for later grades and later problems. Okay, so again, those situations, area and perimeter, a little hint here, it definitely comes up on future quizzes and tests, so really study this example carefully and make sure you understand it, because it comes up again in later quizzes and tests. But this is a great set of homework because it really ties together two sections. The homework in those type of sections is so nice because you get to practice all the old stuff within that section, and it really makes your algebraic skills strong moving forward, okay? So try out that homework, dig right into it. I don't think it's all that long. And watch out for those little errors, and don't get frustrated by little errors. When the little errors happen and you can't get the exact answer, don't freak out. Just ask for a little bit of help to double check and find out where that little error happened and then get it all fixed up. Okay? Have a great day.